Go get him!
ESPN Radio nights and weekends only on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
Sports Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
Conley's pass picked off. It's up ahead now for KJ Adams. He spins and stops it.
It wasn't obviously the way we wanted it to go, and it was kind of just like a big rub in our face, them storming in and stuff like that. So I always remember stuff like that, of course. And I just wanted to make sure today we got off to a great start, set the tone early.
Their guys are hard to guard now. Noel and Johnson are hard to guard, and Tomlin, when he gets going downhill, he long strides. He's hard to stay in front. They've got a good team, and I actually thought we did a good job for the most part. And our bench was terrific. Best our bench has been all year.
I thought we got sped up and did some things that were uncharacteristic of us, but that was because of their defense. We left our feet a lot to throw passes. We had 10 turnovers in the first half. We only had 3 in the second. I thought we had a bunch of self-inflicted wounds.
It's a tough place to play. The environment's different than it is here. It's different than Hutch or anywhere else. Different environment. So we got to bring our own energy. There's not going to be very many people in the stands. And
Guys like Travis Kelce don't grow on trees. And when you have a guy like that, it's a lot harder to replace a guy like Travis Kelce than it is to replace Tyreek Hill. Because great tight ends, when you get them, you hold on to them.
Your winner by pin, Kaylee McMullen from Great Bend. Your winner by pin, Casey Gomez from Great Bend.
Welcome into Sports Day. Bit of a different voice coming at you today. You may have been expecting some Steve Webster. Unfortunately, he is out of the studio today. You're left with the fill-in crew, as I'll be your host, Aaron Clark, today. When the cat's away, the mice will play, and so that's what we're getting into today. As you hear Mike Corson joining me today, going to be a little more involved than he usually is, moving over, controlling that board, because Webby knew he couldn't trust me to do that. Also here with us in studio, working the computer, running Mr. Hescher's usual job, we got Mike Corson. Just Aaron, Mike, and Mike today. Nice little action coming at you.
And I'm glad you reminded me because I forgot to hit the camera, so now they can see us.
There we go. They're going to be able to see some nice quality broadcasting coming at them.
So do I have job security? Is that what you're trying to tell me, Mike, on that part of it?
Yeah, I'm a one-trick pony today, and I was trying to research something.
Oh, okay, all right. Go ahead, Aaron. Sorry.
All right, we'll get into the sights and sounds of the past roughly 24 hours. In college basketball last night, we saw the Kansas Jayhawks showed they're not quite ready to relinquish their Big 12 title just yet, especially to their upstart in-state rivals there. That call we heard last night on ESPN, KJ Adams gives Kansas a 32-19 first half lead off of a dunk from a steal by Jalen Wilson, as the Jayhawks would go on to beat K-State 90-78 at Allen Fieldhouse, avenging that loss in the Octagon of Doom 2 weeks ago.
And we all know very few people watched it, unless you had ESPN Plus. So what I was researching was I heard Tang got a technical foul, so I thought it would be his first at K-State. But I actually pulled up his first one was in the first KU game. So now he's 2 for 2 against KU, I believe.
Maybe KU just brings it out of him, brings that extra fire.
I don't like KU. I'm going to get a technical.
He's getting after it, and he's bringing a lot of good energy to K-State. I've liked it and seen him get fired up against KU. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's what I think in general. His energy is positive, but it's nice to know. And I've seen some of the quietest coaches get teed up, so especially at that level, it is what it is.
We also heard from Jalen Wilson in there. He had 20 points last night, along with Kevin McCullough Jr., who had 16 points, along with 13 rebounds for the Jayhawks. As the eighth-ranked Jayhawks coasted to their 17th straight home win over K-State. K-State not getting a win in Allen Fieldhouse since, I believe, 03, I want to say. Around in there, 06 maybe. Trying to do some quick math there.
Yeah, and obviously didn't get to watch the game, but saw some highlights this morning. KU had a decent margin most of the night. K-State might chip away back at it, but KU gained control. So that might be a game you don't even want to watch because KU was, if you're a K-State fan, the KU kind of controlled things start to finish.
They did, and I think it was not necessarily super surprising to me that like the Cats got a really nice victory in Manhattan a few weeks ago, but it was an overtime victory by 1. And a great win for K-State over KU. Nice win, but I didn't have a ton of confidence coming into Allen Fieldhouse, regardless of how KU had been doing before. Still felt like KU had a lot there, and going into Allen Fieldhouse is just always going to be such a tough time for any team, regardless of if you're the in-state rival.
You can go back and check the tape. I picked KU in Manhattan, but I'm a K-State guy, so I wanted K-State to win. I'm glad they won, but yeah, you're right. Especially going into Allen, you're the traditional powerhouse. Yeah, it would have been really hard to pick against KU.
As we heard, K-State head coach Jerome Tang picked up a technical foul in the first half as KU jumped out to an early 16-7 lead, and they were able to keep the Cats at bay the rest of the way. So KU and K-State now in a 4-way tie for second in the Big 12. Have those standings here. Pretty feisty Big 12 standings so far this year, as we were kind of talking about yesterday. It seems like a team with 4 or maybe even 5 wins could come out and win the conference, which kind of unprecedented. Going into those standings a little bit, we have Texas at the top of the conference at 7-2, and then that 4-way tie for second sees KU, K-State, TCU, and Iowa State all sitting at 6-3. Right behind them is Baylor at 5-4.
Yeah, I like the parity this year. You had Texas Tech, the bottom dweller this year, but they knocked off one of the top teams. Any given night, any one of those teams could win, and it could come down to the last weekend. It probably will come down to the last weekend.
And looking forward a little bit, I just thought this. What about the Big 12 tournament? Oh, I turned myself off. What about the Big 12 tournament coming up? Won't that be a blast? I mean, the way things are going. I mean, that could be a free-for-all.
Yeah.
I'm looking further ahead down the road. Sorry.
Yeah, night in, night out. You've got the home crowd, so the Big 12 tournament is going to be a neutral site. I just like close games, so I hope.
Kansas City, a neutral site.
Yeah. Ooh. Now you sound like all the South schools.
K-State, and Iowa State usually draws pretty well. That's going to be our light district will be part of it.
Yes, technically it's a neutral site, but yes, it's.
And did you guys see Travis Kelce up at the field house?
Thought he'd
last
have
night?
better things to do this week, but.
They at least got to take a couple.
No, so he's
days.
standing up, firing up the crowd. Didn't look like back spasms to me.
I was gonna say he looked pretty healthy. Maybe he gonna be all right, good to go in the Super Bowl when we get there. Moving on with the sights and sounds, moving into the Barton Cougars coach Clark there. The Barton Cougars are on a road tonight, making the long road trip to Independence to take on the Pirates. Alan Clark's Lady Cougars beat Indy 88-58 at the end of November, and as you heard him talking there, they're gonna have to bring some energy tonight as they travel all the way down to Independence. How long is that drive? As we know, I'm not incredibly knowledgeable of the routes of Kansas.
Yeah, I don't think I've been to Independence either, but Cole Reif is headed that way, and he said about 320.
And I was thinking 3.5 sounded about right, but I had not a lot of experience going down there. The Barton men are tied for 4th in the league standings with Pratt and face an Independence team that is 6-10 in the league and went just 8-14 overall. We'll have the broadcast for you tonight on B104.3 The Point, starting at 5:15 with the pregame show, as you heard from Mr. Cole Reif. Going to be there ready to watch the Cougars, hopefully get some nice wins over the Pirates. Wrapping up, we heard the Kansas City Chiefs have some injuries to get healed up before they take on the Eagles in the Super Bowl a week from Sunday, especially with their receiving corps, where 3 of Patrick Mahomes' top wideouts did not finish the game against the Bengals. We did get to hear ESPN's Freddie Coleman there. He says that as long as Mahomes has Kelce and Kelce has Mahomes, Chiefs should be okay. I don't necessarily know about that. I think a lot of guys are stepping up in that game, but I do think the Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce connection is one of the best in the league.
Oh, I think it is the best in the league. And you're right. There's so many moving parts in those games. I think they're going to have to play well to win, but I don't think they're going to be all important.
Realistically, though, how long does Kelce have left? I mean, what is he, 33?
And that's the thing. If you would have you'd have asked me before this season, but he just doesn't seem to really be slowing down. He's had a career year in terms of receptions and touchdowns. He's second in his career in yards, behind only 2020, I believe. And he's just, you got to think at some point he'll start slowing down, especially at tight end. I feel like that's not necessarily a position we see a ton of longevity from. Like we've seen Antonio Gates, Antonio Gonzalez, they both had pretty long extended careers. But also a guy like Rob Gronkowski, the game started taking a toll on his body. We saw him kind of retire a little earlier, and he played with the idea towards the end of his career. But I don't know how long Kelsey does have.
We'll give a shout out to the Broncos too and Shannon Sharp. There's some Bronco fans out there.
Yeah,
that may
of
be
course.
screaming for, hey, what about Shannon Sharp?
Of course.
A lot of guys have smelling salts to kind of liven themselves up. The moment Travis Kelce slows down, put a microphone in front of his face. Honestly, get at least another half out of him.
No kidding though. We've seen some terrific juice out of him on the mic so far, talking to the
sound clip machine,
talking to the mayor of Cincinnati, right? That's who he called a jabroni and told him to stay in his lane.
And then Mike Corson, you're supposed to tell us about the gong.
Yeah, so home finale for the Lady Panther wrestlers last night. And, of course, if they get a pin, somebody bangs the gong.
Oh, okay.
So it was pretty active early on. So what you heard was, I think the first 4 girls in contested matches won. So you heard it for Kaylee McMullen and Daisy Gomez. And the kicker was last Thursday I was there, and they have the guy calling out the matches. And I thought, man, that's Aaron Clark. And I'm like, no, Aaron's in Lawrence for the girls' basketball tournament. Lo and behold, it is Aaron's brother.
It's good old Ryan Clark, not the... It's funny because I have a brother named Alan Clark, who, not the head coach of Barton basketball, different guy.
Right.
My brother's he works with numbers out in Denver that I don't even understand. I'm a silly little sports guy. He does the numbers stuff. But yeah, then we got Ryan Clark too. So all sorts of Clark voices being heard today.
And they sound similar.
They do. That's what you were saying. Say, mistaking me for him. I have to talk about that a little bit. Also in sporting news today, we have Dexter Fowler, who's going to retire at the age of 36 after 14 major league seasons. He was an all-star outfielder in 2016 when he won a World Series with the Chicago Cubs. That Cubs team breaking the Billy Goat curse. Fowler hit .259 with 127 homers and 517 RBIs. He was a 14th round pick by Colorado in 2004. Played with a multitude of clubs, including the Rockies, Houston, the Cubs, St. Louis, and the Los Angeles Angels. Fowler signed a minor league contract with Toronto last March. He went 5 for 12 with 3 RBIs in 3 games for AAA Buffalo from April 28th through 30th before being released on May 3rd.
Wait, so they're playing 2 things here. I see he's 36. Why aren't the Royals signing him? And B, they're playing minor league baseball in Buffalo in April. It is freezing out in the West in April.
I was going to say, I can't imagine Buffalo's baseball weather around that time. Doesn't sound like the...
Do they do the ketchup and mustard thing for minor league baseball?
I have no idea how Buffalo sports culture is for some of their other sports, but I hope so. I hope there's tables getting shattered in half, broken, people jumping off the top of vans through them.
I need to invest in a table manufacturing company out there.
You know, probably one of the just saddest things I think I've heard is some people, like, there's tables you can buy that are strictly for jumping through. And I just think that's cowardice. Like, if you're going to jump through a table, you're going to go out your way and, like, launch yourself off the top and jump on a table, you got to be able to do the real thing. Like, they're not that sturdy anyway. I've fallen through one of the things by accident before. It's not like you need a lot of force to get through it.
I want a sturdy table with something in the middle, slick on top, and a high jump. Let it fall where it may.
Well, Aaron, let's be honest. You're 6'7" and
at the time
heavy.
I was...
It used to be quite heavy.
I was going to say, at the time I was even heavier, I will say.
Okay.
But it was that time where I was breaking chairs when I would sit down in them. Moving into some coaching news in the NFL, we have the Broncos are going to trade some picks for Sean Payton to the Saints. And then also DeMeco Ryans being hired as the head coach for the Houston Texans. Ryan spent the last couple seasons as the defensive coordinator in San Francisco, coordinated some top-tier defenses there. I really like D'Amico Ryan's move. I think he's a great coach. He's a player's coach. A lot of his players have talked about what a great guy he is. We've heard guys like Fred Warner and Nick Bosa just heap praise on him for what he's able to do. And I think the Sean Payton move is getting a lot of flack, but I don't hate it. Not going to lie.
This is like their third choice, though, my understanding. They wanted Harbaugh. They didn't get Harbaugh out of Michigan, and they wanted D'Amico Ryan. And it's going to be interesting. I'm not discounting the move, but it's like Denver's just having some struggles here.
And that's what I heard, too. I'd heard for sure D'Amico Ryan's was ahead, and I'd heard there was rumors they were trying to lure Harbaugh away from Michigan with some of the murkiness, the controversy surrounding him at Michigan right now. They thought they might be able to pry him away. But some people are acting like it's silly to trade a coach for pick. Like, this has happened before. This isn't
not the first time.
And the last time, last major time I can think of, the Bucks traded for Gruden from the Raiders, and they won a Super Bowl the first year they had him. And to be fair, they traded 2 firsts and 2 seconds, I believe, in that deal. But even more recently, when we had Brady leaving the Patriots, the Dolphins got in trouble for talking to him when they weren't supposed to. Forgotten there, they were considering trading for Sean Payton too, and getting Sean Payton to lead their Tom Brady-led offense. And so I don't know. I think we could see Sean Payton come in and really help try to turn Russell Wilson around.
I'm looking at Dr. Doom's numbers here. 10-7 pick for Kansas City this year, and I wasn't much better at 11-6. A lot of that was based on what
the
Las
West was
Vegas
going to be.
and Denver was supposed to be.
AFC West was going to be tough, and that's why I picked the 10-7. Obviously,
so I'm kind of excited because I actually like it when Denver's better. I like the rivalry game. I like Russell Wilson. So I hope they are competitive next year.
And I think we could really see Sean Payton do some good with what we saw him doing at the end of Drew Brees' career with some of those quick game and exploiting him maybe not being able to access the entire field. But then also don't forget what we saw Sean Payton do with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston had arguably his best year in that 1 year. He was injured, but Sean Payton was proven he can mold an offense around people. He doesn't just need that Drew Brees pinpoint accuracy. Sean Payton's going to be able to work with what Russ is able to give him in Denver, and I really think that Sean Payton gives them a better chance at turning around a team next year than a rookie they would have gotten, especially when you consider, sure, they'd already traded around these early round picks to Denver or to Seattle for Russell Wilson. This was really them trading Bradley Chubb for Sean Payton because they traded Bradley Chubb to Miami. They got that first rounder back from them. Now they trade that first round pick to New Orleans.
Well, I believe the last 3 choices by the Broncos have been rookie coaches have never coached in the NFL before as a head coach. I think they needed some experience, so I think this was a wise move, but I don't like the Broncos, so I hope it doesn't work.
Yeah, one thing I'm curious about, he's coached at the Superdome down there for so long. Do those inflate numbers? Do those inflate his ability to coach a quarterback? Would Drew Brees have been the leader if he was throwing in Denver half the time? I don't know.
That's definitely something worth thinking about because I do think the domed environment, knowing you're going to have 8 games a year that are going to be nice. Like, you're not going to have to worry about any sort of inclement. Well, I guess in Louisiana, there is always a chance for some inclement weather during the early portions of the season.
I got a Saints jacket when it was Brees and that coach, so maybe I'll have to.
Don't you have, Corson? That's my question.
No, I don't have anything NFL. That's why it's so funny. People see my Saints jacket, like, what are you doing? I'm like, this was pre-Mahomes. This was Drew Brees.
Okay, all right.
Back when the Big Easy was winning Super Bowls back in 2009.
And if you guys are wondering why we're going so long, we had to pull a couple audibles today. I mean, we do have Gerard Wellbrock coming up, but
Omaha.
Cindy Beck had to pull out on us today, unfortunately for her. So we're kind of, without Webby, we're going to make it work. But it's been kind of a audible on a couple different occasions. So
on the fly, filling some time with
live radio. You got to love it.
I've got the secret audible. Give Aaron Clark a football question about linemen.
You said that all morning.
Let's get after it.
Okay. Why don't we take a break first? Then we'll come back.
Stay right here as we'll get more Sports Day coming back after this.
The need for nurses is constant. Barton Community College offers practical and registered nursing programs. The affordable and challenging coursework is taught by experienced instructors who care about you and have a passion for teaching in the field of nursing. Get hands-on training in the classroom, state-of-the-art simulation labs, and at clinical sites for this high-demand field. The application deadline has been extended to March 1st. Apply online at nursing.bartonccc.edu.
When you need to get rid of the pain, you want the best. You need to see Dr. Dan Quillen at Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Dr. Dan is Barton County's only board-certified clinical specialist in orthopedic physical therapy. No matter your age, when it hurts, he will help. Call Dan at 620-282-4825. That's 282-4825. Excellence-driven, unrivaled results. Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Inside the Fieldhouse at 9th and Madison in Great Bend.
Welcome you back into Sports Day today as we have our fill-in crew here. I'm Aaron Clark, hosting today along with Mike Hesher and Mike Corson. Going to be having our insider edition here as we're going to hear from our Great Bend High wrestling insider, Mike Corson, and followed by our Hoisington basketball insider, Mike Hesher. Starting off on the wrestling side of things. Corson, I got to see you at the Field House last night for Great Bend, watch some quality wrestling. What'd you see there?
Well, I'm glad you got to see me. I had to see you. I see you enough at work. No, I think we had a fun time. So McPherson was in town, a kind of a light night of action, no JV action, and first 3 or 4 weight classes were open, and then we get into the contested matches. Kaylee McMullen comes out with a pin. Third-ranked Daisy Gomez comes out with a pretty quick pin. Sierra Ferguson gets a pin in 33 seconds. And then Katie Kuhlman capped the run with a pin at 135. So Great Bend at that point was ahead 36-6. Given the number of competitors, it was going to be really hard for McPherson to come back. So McPherson got a couple more decisions. But kind of the fun one we enjoyed the most was Kira Stevens has wrestled on and off varsity this year, 155er. She looked to be completely outmatched size-wise. And first period, she struggled a little bit and was getting overpowered a little bit. Ends up getting the pin.
It was really impressive because it came out of nowhere. Like, it wasn't like Kira in the first period was looking outmatched and then she slowly worked her way back. It was Kira trying to survive a lot of that match in there and then just capitalizing on her opponent, making a mistake, able to hit a nice little roll there and get the pin. I thought it was a great show of grit determination from Kira because she was really having to weather some serious offense from a gal who pretty solid wrestler that I don't remember the McPherson wrestler's name, but she's a big, strong gal.
And that's one of the things I like about wrestling. And, basketball, you get down 10, and I know you have 2-pointers and 3-pointers, but it might take a long time to overcome that, or you might not. Wrestling, one bad move will get you beat immediately. So there's always the door, as long as you haven't gotten tech fauled, or there's always the door that somebody's going to make a mistake and it's going to flip the match.
Well, one of the only sports where you can be down 12 and win in 2 seconds,
The other one that worth mentioning big time was Leah Noakes. Hung on for a 4-3 decision at 170, and that was a well-contested one. And we were talking about it because you were sitting down pretty close to the mat too, and on a quiet night like that, you can hear when somebody's getting squeezed, there's grunts, you know that they're in pain, so they're either going to bide their time until the period's over and they can get a reset, or they got to work themselves out of it, and it's kind of fun to see that stuff up close.
And especially in that Noakes matchup, it was fun to watch almost the opposite of what happened with Kira rather, where Noakes there had the lead 4-3 with that whole second period. She led 4-3. And so she was on top from referee's position and just trying her hardest not to let the McPherson wrestler get away. We saw her exhibit some great body control in terms of controlling her hips and controlling the other gal's hips, not letting her base up and build that base to get an escape chance. And I thought it was great watching Leah just know the situation and knowing, hey, I don't necessarily have to score points. I don't need to be trying to turn this girl over and tip her onto her back. I just kind of got to make it look like I'm working and stall out here this last period, and we're going to get a win.
Yeah, and it's tough. You get on bottom there, and there's the stall rule that I'm not real up to speed on. But if you hang out too long, they'll reset you, so there's action. So it is a balancing act of sorts.
And essentially the way it works is you're not allowed to just turtle on bottom, because if you do that, if you just sit there where you're not trying to get away, there's not really any openings for your opponent to be able to try to work a move or anything. And so it'd be real easy to just get a lead and then go on bottom, turtle away.
And the other cool thing we heard since it was quiet, an apology during the match.
Seriously.
I don't know what happened, but yes.
It was Great Bend threw in a JV wrestler, Alondra Vasquez, at 145. I'm guessing the girl she was against was a regular varsity kid and was kind of in control of the match. And whatever happened in the middle of the match, she apologized, and I think they chuckled a little bit and then went back at it. Good stuff.
It was one of those things where I looked at Corson right away and I was like, I don't know if I've ever heard an apology during a wrestling match, but I'm glad we're able to move by whatever deserved an apology and get back to the wrestling.
So to close up on wrestling, Great Bend, both boys and girls going to Phillipsburg on Saturday, and I believe the boys will be at Liberal Thursday.
Nice. Should be fun to keep up with the Panther wrestlers. Always fun to get to watch some quality grappling going on the mats. Moving over to the other, one of the other sides of winter sports. Mike Hesher, you got to see a real quality matchup between Hoisington and Heston.
The Hoisington Lady Cardinals, we don't know when the last time they beat Heston. Rumor had it they beat them in Hoisington a couple times, but Heston, a very strong tradition, as everybody knows. The boys are 2A defending state, 3A defending champion 2 times, so they're very good. And going in, I thought, okay, if they can keep it close to Lady Cardinals. Well, they jumped out to a 7-0 lead, and everybody's been saying, you saw them a couple of weeks ago, Aaron, when you were helping me out. Sometimes they don't play very aggressive. They came out, they looked good. They got off to a 7-0 lead. It was only tied at 27 late in the third quarter when then Addie Mason hit a 3-pointer. But Kylie Hahn was the big player in the contest for Hoisington. She had 15 points. Unofficially, she had a double-double. I know she had multiple rebounds in the contest for a double-double, and we talked a little bit about it. Kylie Hahn, I think, could be the leader of this team. And Mike Corson, you were saying you like the way she squares up and puts her body into people.
Yeah, she's a track kid, of course. So she's a state hurdler. So she has a really strong base, and she's got nice size height-wise. So watching her bang away down on the post, if she plants, it's really hard to get her off her spot, wherever that is. Could she be more polished as a finisher? Probably, but she's down there working really hard, and it's actually really, because I'm always parked on the baseline anyway, so I get to see that stuff up close, and I don't always see people working that hard all game.
That was one thing that impressed me when I got to watch her at the Winter Jam tournament. Like you said, she could definitely work her out on the finishing, but she doesn't always just try to go with the power. Like, she's got a lot of strength down there, and she could very easily bull her way in. She tries to keep her opponents off base, guessing on what she's going to try to go to, and I'm not surprised to see that she was a major factor in beating a talented Heston team.
And the other thing is they hit 10 out of 11 free throws in the second half, and obviously we all know that's an important thing. We're going to go to Mandy Mason. I talked with her after the game, and she starts out talking about Kylie Hahn.
She's a great free throw shooter, too, so you get her to the line, and I know she missed one, but she doesn't generally miss very many.
Well, I realize that. Well, in the second half, we figured they were 10 out of 11. I made mentions a couple times in the fourth quarter. The game would be won at the free throw line, and that's where it was won.
Oh, it definitely, especially the second half, we stepped up and hit some really big free throws. Our kids went to the line just composed, calm, cool, collected, and did a great job of putting the ball into the basket, and we talk about that a lot. You're going to win ball games down the stretch in a tight game from the free throw line, and so I can't say enough. I'm so proud of our kids tonight. It was exciting. I told them I'm ready to go back home. Let's just go to the middle school and practice, and they were like, tonight?
Are you crazy?
Yeah. But it was just a lot of energy, They were excited. This is a tough place to play, and we have been able to beat Heston before in the past, but we've never beaten them on their home floor. It's a tough place to play,
yes,
and I can't say enough how proud I am of what our girls accomplished tonight.
A big point in the contest. Heston came back and tied it at 27-all, and was it Addie's three-pointer off the glass that put you back ahead?
Yeah.
I think it was. That was a big part of the game.
It was, and Heston, they bothered us with their length. They've got length, plus they can pressure you. They kind of put us in some really bad situations at times, trying to break the pressure. We were wanting to go to the corners, which is the worst place to go, trying to run an offense. But, they also have, obviously, Kendall Brugan, who was obviously our focus. And look what she did tonight. We struggled to keep the ball out of her hands and know where she was at. But she had a lot of shots for them. And we kind of switched up a couple of times and went with the box and one, but she's a talented player, and then they've got other kids that can hit shots. So, but our kids executed our game plan tonight to a T.
Well, you stole my last question was about Kendall Brugan. I had her finish with 26. She's just a sophomore. She's going to be fun to match up for the next couple of years.
Yeah, she is. She's a pretty talented girl,
Yep.
and you know, she can score inside outside. So she makes it a tough matchup for us. But you know, our kids, we lost her obviously a few times, and also just thought that we were close enough. And you know, she's a player that you've got to be belly button to belly button with her. But just overall, can't say enough about what the kids did tonight.
Well, I know you got to look forward, and you got Pratt on Friday night. You're obviously.
Okay, we're not going to talk about Pratt. We're going to talk more about the Hoisington Heston quickly. The Kendall Brugan young lady, she's a 5'10 sophomore, and she had 26 points. She was impressive. I mean, and there's another sophomore for Heston is Abby Proctor. She had 10. She looked impressive as well. Heston, I don't know how they do it, but they just keep growing athletes, and their boys squad. What'd Kyle say to me after the game? He basically said their smallest starter was taller than Hoisington's tallest starter. So, I mean, they were like 6'5", 6'3", 6'2". So they're two-time defending 3A state champions. Who knows what's going to happen obviously down the road, but they're ranked third of the boys are, and, you know, they pretty much controlled the game from the start.
They've been a powerhouse in the Central Kansas League for years, whether it's football, boys basketball, girls basketball, volleyball, a little bit of track, a little bit of cross country. But back to the start, you said 7-0 start. So just last week, 12-0 start against Cimarron, shut out an 11-2 team in the first quarter with a Division I player on the floor. This is a team that if you can get them to come out with that intensity and play for 2, 3, 4 quarters, maybe you can make some shocking news at Sub-State. But
have you seen their Sub-State?
It's
brutal. I mean,
but it's hard to say how good Cimarron is because the competition out west and all that. But
with Phillipsburg in there, you kind of hesitate anything.
That was a talented Phillipsburg team that we saw.
Yes,
come up against.
If you're not as talented, just outwork them.
Okay, alrighty. Do we have anything? We're going to come back to football. We're going to talk Chiefs and Bengals, or Chiefs and whoever they play, the Eagles after this.
Chiefs, Eagles after this, but I believe we have Gerard Welbrock.
Well, first we got one more segment before we get to Gerard. So as we said, we had to pull an audible today. Webby's gone, and he left the kids in charge, and we're going to do whatever we want to. He's on the road to Wichita, so.
Let's get out the old football game, the buzz game.
We should have got out the football game.
He's staying right here. We'll have more Sports Day right after this.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Wright, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
Don't feel bad if you're not a phone expert. That's what we're here for. At Next Tech Wireless, we'll help you in the transition to a new device step by step. Want to customize the screen? We've got you. Have questions about some of the functions? We're happy to help. You're not just another number to us. Come see us today and we'll get you into the best phone for your needs. We're friends. We're neighbors. We are Kansas. Next Tech Wireless.
Superior Essex of Hoisington has 2 new exciting career opportunities available for a manufacturing supervisor and a maintenance planner scheduler. There are also production associate opportunities available. Superior Essex offers outstanding wages, and they also offer a competitive benefits package including Blue Cross Blue Shield, Delta Dental, 401k with company match, vacation, and holiday pay, plus a sign-on bonus up to $5,000. Are you the right person for the job? Apply at any Kansas Works office or at superioressex.com.
Sports Day is presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department. Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
Coming back to you with some Sports Day here. Tom Brady announcing his second retirement today. Comes a year after his first. That first one lasted, as we all know, not too long. Brady got around to the golf course, realized maybe it wasn't for him, as we are seeing him step away and really kind of throws a wrench, and I'm sure some of the team's plans. Both the Las Vegas Raiders and San Francisco 49ers had allegedly had some interest in trying to bring him in to be their quarterback next year. Corson, what do you got cooking over there?
Yeah, it was fun to have him in the conversation for the 49ers. They're going to be in dire need of a quarterback, I think. It would have been interesting to have him out on that coast. And then there was a podcast I think he hosts where he cussed at the guy, but we think it was in jest about he didn't even know where he was going to be. So it was kind of fun. The kettle boiled a little bit there, and then evidently I do believe most of these guys don't unretire twice. I don't know that we've seen that. So I suspect at his age, he probably is done.
And that was goodness gracious, if he unretires again, if you retire 3 times, I don't think anyone has to care on the third one. Like if he does unretires again and comes back and retires again, I don't think anyone has to post anything or give him any attention for the third.
Yeah, he can just fade away into the sunset. I do believe he's got a pending Fox contract,
He does.
a very large one.
Yeah.
So my fear is
the highest paid broadcaster in the football industry.
unproven, and he's the highest paid. So my fear is, where's our boy Greg Olsen going to go?
Oh no, I hadn't thought. Well, if Greg Olsen is on the market now, someone's going to be. We need to see if Eagle can't get a hold of Greg Olsen to see.
Just for the suits.
Get some quality tight end takes from former great himself for the Panthers and the Bears. Moving into some more local, going to talk about the Chiefs Eagles here coming up, as we'll not spend too much time talking about the Pro Bowl this weekend.
Well, let's do it real quick.
Is that flag football again?
Yeah, what?
If you want, I do have some notes over the Pro Bowl. We can get into that.
Well, my thing is, it's fun. The Manning brothers are coaching, but it's always been laughable because nobody wants to get hurt, understandably so. But you do get the contract money, and it's nice to have on your resume. But this year they just decide they're laughing at us anyway? Let's just laugh about it.
And that's kind of been my attitude about it the whole time, is that I haven't cared about the actual Pro Bowl game in 4 or 5 years. But they don't even let defensive backs press. Like, you're not allowed to press on the outside, and I don't know why you'd want to anyway. But yeah, so just kind of making it more fun. I don't hate it. You know, it'll still attract a crowd. It's fun to watch these guys. Like, part of the draw of sports is watching tremendous athletes be able to do things that I can't.
Yeah.
And so watching a guy like CeeDee Lamb play dodgeball, that's going to be pretty fun. He's going to be able to do some things in a dodgeball court that I'm not.
For the same reason, I think they should put a slow guy out at a track meet so you can realize that, hey, these actually, because when they all run together, they don't
I
look
think you
fast.
should just volunteer. Next track meet you're at, you should step up and say, hey.
Short races only. But I don't think I've ever watched the Pro Bowl, but maybe this one I will tune it in just because you forget how big these guys are. They're all padded up. You can't see their muscles. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, them just running around looking like massive athletes.
Right, and they've got a whole host of events lined up. Like, I don't know, I'll be honest, I'm not entirely familiar with the structure of the Pro Bowl and how it's all worked out before, but now they've got games leading up, like the Friday and Saturday before the Sunday that they play. Like, they've got dodgeball, and then
Yeah, I hope the players union came in and said, hey, if you want anybody to watch this dodgeball tournament, we've got to allow headshots.
See, that's a very good point. I have not seen what the rules on the dodge. Do you think it's going to be actual dodgeballs, or is it going to be the
And I was gonna
soft
say,
ones?
and not the little foam ones either. It's got to be like the volleyball types.
Oh, because these are like
Smoke 'em.
in elementary schools, like when they have those little soft ones, it's whatever. You know, it's like, yeah, we got kids. These are grown men. We can be hurling some kickballs at each other.
We went to the trampoline park in Wichita, and a bunch of doctors showed up on their break, and evidently they come over and play hardcore dodgeball in there. But those balls were the soft foam kind. They were still whistling them so fast that I would get nervous when one would go by your head, and was like,
"That's
so
fair."
yeah, let these guys have.
Okay, let's move on. Let's go talk Super Bowl. Enough Pro Bowl stuff.
Oh, we got 2 weeks.
I realize that, but
we got plenty of
Webby
time.
sometimes is a little persnickety and doesn't let us do what we want to do. So that's why we take advantage of today, right?
Exactly. Gotta get out all the offensive line talk that I can.
Well, and you had some news about.
Well, we decided maybe not to go there. So it was unfortunate experience for a Philadelphia Eagle lineman who is a
story's
non-starter.
developing a little bit too.
Yeah.
He's only played in a handful of.
Yeah, it's You can obviously Google it if you want to and look it up.
Yeah, it's not all the details are. Might discuss that when that's all been fully.
It's a
fully
news
out,
story, Mike, that maybe hasn't
developing.
been. Developing news story. Thank you.
But moving on to the Chiefs, Eagles in the Super Bowl, I'm not gonna lie, the Chiefs come into this game a lot more question marks, a lot more banged up. It feels like than the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles do have their own fair share. Jalen Hurts' shoulder, he's still at least during the NFC Championship, but leading up to that game, he was saying his shoulder's at about 90 to 95% after taking a hard hit and dealing with some shoulder soreness the last couple weeks of the regular season. But then also for the Eagles, Lane Johnson, their starting right tackle, he actually has a torn adductor muscle right in here, nice little core muscle. But for an offensive lineman to be able to play through a torn one of those, because I don't know how much you guys are thinking about, but like that's all this twisting motion, and that being able to twist, I don't know how he's doing it. He didn't allow a single sack against Nick Bosa, who very well could be the defensive player of the year this year. Lane Johnson, very impressive, but the Chiefs so banged up everywhere.
And maybe a party that's going to come into a play here. Isn't the turf out there usually fairly problematic?
Yeah, the Arizona turf has not always stood up to scrutiny before. I'm not
Well, that's where Harrison Buckner supposedly he got hurt in Arizona. There are some people who saying it really wasn't the turf that did it. They thought he turned his ankle. So there is some question about that, but that is where he hurt it. And Chiefs fans were like, "Oh, they better replace the turf. They better replace the turf." What? It's the Super Bowl. They probably will.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I can't remember why we were talking about it. I think it was earlier this year. That's one of those fields where they roll out the entire thing and it is massive. So it's not just your typical grass that gets sun 24/7.
And a lot of the professional players prefer grass over turf. Just it's a lot softer. It doesn't give as weird. Like, you know how dirt is gonna react more than turf. But I'll be excited to see how the Chiefs plan on overcoming some offensive stroke. Marcus Kemp, the guy who got he has more career tackles than catches. He has one career catch now. That was his first catch. He has 24 career tackles. So I'm excited to see what the Chiefs plan on rolling out. Obviously, the health issues of Patrick Mahomes is going to be a big talking point as well. Getting the signal that I have to stop talking now. It's almost like Webby's here anyway, cutting me off now.
That hurts, man. Come on.
Oh, not that bad. But stay right here as we'll have more Sports Day coming up after this. We get here Webby talking to Gerard Wellbrock. Stay right here. More Sports Day next.
1890 KVGB Great Bend and 95.5 FM K238CK Hoisington.
Venture Corporation is a homegrown company with almost 50 years of experience in asphalt, paving, and construction. They have quite a few jobs scheduled for the new year, and they need equipment operators, mechanics, and CDL drivers. Venture offers many benefits, including 401k and Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Call Leslie for all the details. Work for a family-owned and family-oriented company that is here today and will be here in the future. Venture Corporation, South Highway 281, Great Bend, is an equal opportunity employer.
Some of us were born to farm. Some diesels, like Cenex Premium Diesel, were born to fuel. Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster comes with a more complete additive package for a more complete burn to reduce particulate matter and keep filters cleaner for longer. Fuel your equipment like a pro with Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster and leave typical number 2 diesel to the amateurs. Cenex Premium Diesel. Diesel that doesn't mess around.
Contact American Plains Co-op in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor today.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-355-4107 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-355-4107. That's 800-355-4107. What do you have to lose? Call 800-355-4107. Again, 800-355-4107.
Sports Day on 1590 KVGB takes you now to Northwest Kansas for everything Fort Hays State Tigers and more. And now, Gerard Wellbrock.
Indeed, Gerard Wellbrock joining us here on the program today. Fort Hays State update here for you. We're talking football a little bit today, Gerard. A press conference going on here in just a little bit at Fort Hays State with head coach Chris Brown and National Signing Day. So have a lot of information to pass along from Coach Brown today, and it looks like they've got plenty of signees that they've already got under contract, I guess.
Yeah, it's always an exciting day. You know, it's kind of like I've never been a big NFL draft guy. It's like, okay, let me know who my team's drafted, and I don't have to sit and watch it all day. And it's kind of that way with signing day. It's like, all right, we'll see how many of them pan out and play. But it is still a cool and exciting day to see all those kids. And for those kids, obviously, that's huge to sign that letter of intent and continue their playing careers at the collegiate level. So it is a very big deal. And, you know, you look at the list, and obviously it's going to continue to grow, and we're going to hear from Coach here shortly. You know, I think they address some needs. Now, if it's been like in years past, if you're, you know, most of the freshmen, they try to redshirt, and the vast majority of them they do. How many of them will play this upcoming season? I don't know, but it's positions. There's needs. Wide receiver, obviously, a need. Secondary, a need. Running back, the running game struggled last year, a need. And you never have enough offensive and defensive linemen. And just looking at the list so far, they got some big dudes, and it's kind of the way it's going. So, you know, we'll find out, you know, probably in a couple of years how good this class is. But yeah, it's always an exciting day, and we'll see. And the rules have changed, and I need to confirm, but I'm 99% sure with the redshirt rule that got passed, it'll kick in next season. So like Division I, with 4 games you can play and still count as a redshirt. Division II is going to 3. So you got a better chance to see some of these true freshmen on the field, I think, right away.
Tell me about Wyatt Spexarth, because anytime I see somebody from Andale, it makes me happy. But 6'3", quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, the record they had kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah.
you go on with that. And you know, we've seen that. And you got some big guys, and they seem to, you know, they can see over the line, do all that better. It'll be an interesting quarterback room. With what is returning, and they're all young, and I think you add another element. I think that's another position. I mean, if you got a chance to get a guy, you take him and you see. I mean, I think at the NFL level, if there's a quarterback out there, other than if you're Kansas City, you have Patrick Mahomes, I think you got your guy of the future. But if you take a chance and try to get that franchise guy, and Fort Hays State's been pretty fortunate. They've had a really good quarterback. Now, with chance being done, it's going to be a battle. And, I mean, whether he can win it or not, I don't know. But obviously, he's at one of the premier programs. He's got good size, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do and his style of play. And you look, Chris Brown in the past, they've run the ball with the quarterback when they've had a guy who's maybe better at that and do that more dual option threat. Obviously, here recently, that has not been the case. It's been more traditional. You know, I say drop back, you're in the shotgun already, but you know, it'll be interesting to see how that. Excuse me, all blends, but yeah, I think it's exciting to see where this, because that's a position that's going to be up for competition going into the season.
Caleb Weesey from 6'3" defensive back. Is that where they're going to want to play him? I mean, he's 6'3", 200 DB. I mean, that's.
When I saw that listed at D-back, I guess, and you know, and they've moved guys. You know. Wide receivers have become defensive backs, you know, for needs and what it feels. So that may play itself out. I thought that was interesting as well. But that's an area, I think Fort Hays State's been a little bit undersized. And when you look at their playoff teams, they were a little bit bigger in that secondary. And so hopefully he can do that. Receivers are getting bigger, and so it makes sense. I mean, because there was a lot of times last year, like that was great coverage. I mean, Fort Hays defended that well. It was just a 6'3" receiver going over the top of a 5'8" defensive back, and that's just. I mean, that was just the reality of it. It's like you couldn't defend it any better. It's just he's bigger than you, and he took the ball away. So I think that helps in that regard. So, yeah, I mean, I think if he can play defensive back, I wouldn't be surprised. And that defensive back position is interesting because that with Fort Hays State's, the 4-2-5, a lot of times it's an outside linebacker-ish. I mean, I look at Doyen Jabowu, who was just a great all-conference player on the 2 playoff teams. He was kind of an outside backer cornerback, but he was 6'3", so it's kind of a hybrid position, and I could see him maybe sliding into that type of role where they list it as defensive back, but you're kind of a borderline outside linebacker cornerback position. So, I mean, we'll see if that plans out, but I could see it being one of those because those guys tend to be a little bit bigger in that regard.
One guy that's absent on here, and I don't. Casey Seifert from Beloit, and I had the opportunity to officiate a few of his games, but talked to his dad in the fall and said, well, I don't know if Fort Hays really is going after him now. Do you know where he went or if he's still in the mix?
As soon as you said that, I saw something, but I can't remember where if it was junior college or like a Division I. So, yeah, he went somewhere. At least I thought I saw he committed somewhere. And I thought it was a little bit higher level because he's one, I agree. I mean, he's ain't like his dad. You got a stud.
Yeah. Well, all these things, okay, you've covered enough of these freshman signing days, things like that with Chris Brown now. What's the strategy that you've been able to detect that he always uses because he's had great success there at Fort Hays?
I mean, I think some of it, I think this year they look more need specific. I mean, because there were some definite needs. And so, I mean, just to compete in the league, they had to get bigger, better, and more depth up front. But I think they just try to get the best guys they can. I mean, and then we'll figure out where they can play. And I think Chris has tried and has done a pretty good job of, and that's maybe an area that hasn't always been done in the past. I mean, I think they look at the western half of the state and try to get the best players from the Western Athletic Conference, and if they can do that, they've got a chance to play. If they're the best in the WAC, they can probably play in the MIAA most years. And if we can get them, that's a good core. And I think they've done a pretty good job of that. I mean, and obviously Hays High's had a great run and done a good job of getting some of those guys to come here. And then, then you just try to go head to head and win some of these battles with the other MIAA schools. That's to me always the interesting part. And, we probably won't hear all the details today, but I mean, how many of these guys were you battling Washburn and Emporia for, or Pittsburgh State, and and are you winning some of those battles, or you're having to take guys who maybe weren't as high on your board? And I think they've done a pretty good job of getting the guys they want. But I think that's kind of been his MO. Let's get the best Western Kansas, and that's Chris's territory. And I think he's perfect for that, and they've done a good job. And then, I saw Arkansas today a lot more. I don't remember last time Fort Hays State has had signees from Arkansas, and they've got several guys, some big bodies. So I think they're trying to expand, and it's just funny how it gets cyclical as well. Where you go, and a coach relates, and you get in with a school that's had success. You're able to lay some inroads because it's so competitive, and then you add the portal to it. It is an interesting time, but that's kind of been his approach, I think. And then if they can, in years past, 99% of the freshmen redshirted, unless you were just exceptional or you have a year like Fort Hays had with all the injuries. But like I said, that'll be the interesting part with Division II now being allowed to have freshmen play up to 3 games and still be granted that redshirt season. I think that's a great thing, and we may see more of these guys on the field right away.
Well, I said Casey Seifert. I called his kid Grady Seifert.
Grady, Casey's dad.
Yeah, Casey's dad. So I talked to Casey's. No, I talked to Anyway, Grady Seifert. Yeah. This shows you how much we follow this. He's going to KU. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah. No, that's probably going to be a good fit.
That's the reason they hired Chris Brown, because he was from Liberal. As soon as we got him, then Liberal went to crap in football. So
how about that? Yeah, coincidence? I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to pull some of those players off that tree they used to have down there back in the day.
That tree was good.
Yeah, Gerard Welbrock joining us right now. Just a quick update on men's and women's basketball, Gur.
Well, the women, tough double overtime loss to Missouri Western on Thursday. And, I mean, I think to be in the hunt for an at-large NCAA bid, I think they got to win out. I think they got to go undefeated in February and probably get at least a win or two in the conference tournament. But if they do that, they're going to be – I mean, that means you won at Southern. You beat Central Missouri. You got to win at Kearney. And I think it's capable. I mean, they're about 5 shots at the end of games away from, having a phenomenal season. So big road trip, Newman and UCO, teams they have to win against, but, won't be easy. Men, I mean, they battled Northwest. They were right there, just couldn't get it done. I mean, Northwest is really, really good and starting to round into their postseason form. Tigers have Newman tomorrow. Won't be easy, tough place to play, and they're skilled enough to beat you if you don't play well. And then Central Oklahoma, the conference leaders on Saturday. Well, if you could somehow do that, I mean, that'd be huge. I think for both, it's just try to get that first round bye in the conference tournament. Avoid playing on Wednesday because there's going to be some tough games, and then try to make a run there. I mean, they're both playing well. The men probably played some of their best basketball right now. Unfortunately, they're playing 2 of the top 10 teams in the country out of 3 games. So a tough stretch for them, but hopefully it'll be a good road trip this week down in Wichita tomorrow and then Edmond, Oklahoma Saturday afternoon.
All right, Gur, appreciate the update and get to that press conference.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, Gerard Welbrock, voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers, with us here on Sports.
If you need physical therapy, consider Advanced Therapy in Great Bend and Progressive Therapy in Larned and Hayes.
There's nothing like A-STEM therapy. This is Tim Marcus from Progressive Physical Therapy in Hayes. Research shows that A-STEM therapy improves muscle performance and neural functioning. It's highly effective for those dealing with tennis elbow, carpal tunnel, sports injuries, and general aches and pains.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
The need for nurses is constant. Barton Community College offers practical and registered nursing programs. The affordable and challenging coursework is taught by experienced instructors who care about you and have a passion for teaching in the field of nursing. Get hands-on training in the classroom, state-of-the-art simulation labs, and at clinical sites for this high-demand field. The application deadline has been extended to March 1st. Apply online at nursing.bartonccc.edu.
Heard you're buying a car. I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly, instead of all that.
You know those things impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/AutoNavigator.
Chris, this needs to go to Parkville by 3.
Joy to the holiday packages that keep coming at Jimenez Couriers.
It's coming your way, but the drop-off location is changing.
She needs delivery drivers with the gift of punctuality.
Anyone looking to pick up some overtime? Anyone?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back as we are getting ready to wrap up our Wednesday edition of Sports Day today. As we didn't have Webby in here today, we had the fill-in crew. I'm Aaron Clark. I was your host today. We had Mike Hesher on and Mike Corson helping fill in, spread some time.
Other than some mic issues, we did very well, in my opinion.
You know, we had some mic issues for Mike, but what else can we expect? Tune in tomorrow. We'll have Webby back here with your normal host. I'll hopefully be here. You won't kick me off after hosting today. Hesher will be here. Corson will be here. We'll have a full lineup in ready for you tomorrow right here on Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.